Alright. I guess I'm live. So, yeah. Back at it again tonight, and we are trying out some new setup, some new equipment, some new stuff. Got a new transition. Got some stuff set up. And, yeah, we're gonna make a project tonight. And you're like, what are we gonna make? Well, we're gonna make the same thing we made last night, because that's what I've got materials for and what I've got on hand. So, start with our pattern. If you're curious, we are gonna make one of these. Let me go to my closer shot here. Show you. This is what we are going to be making. It is a miniature doctor's mask, plague mask kind of thing. So yeah, come back here and start off by cutting our pattern. Oh, and I'm a little thrown off because I'm kind of monitoring the stream on two different devices. Because I'm monitoring both Twitch and YouTube. So yeah. If you're wondering why I'm a little bit out of it. I also have the video playback disabled on my laptop in hopes that it will actually perform a little bit better than it did last night. An error over here. Kill that. Alright. Just fine. That's an ancient computer. So, anyway. Hoping somebody joins in at some point. And get a little activity in some chat. Which would be cool. Since I'm yet to see how that functions. It is highly frustrating that Microsoft wants to update every time you open your computer. The reality is, I don't want whatever Teams or whatever thing they're trying to sell me. Alright. So that'll do. We have our pattern cut out here, and in fact, I'll need to fix that transition for the other for later. Yeah, so we've got our pattern cut out. Let me go to my close-up so you can actually kind of see it here. And what I've got on these basically 6 pieces that we'll cut out, I have some nice 3 to 4 ounce leather. This is vegetable tanned leather. It is a nice quality hide that I got from a place in Indianapolis. A little leather supply that I like to frequent when we're not all locked down. So we're going to go ahead, start kind of placing our pattern on where we can. can do this. I'm trying to use as much space as I can so that I get most out of my leather. Trying to, at least. Alright, so there we go. One piece. I'm going to go ahead and cut that off, just roughly, so that I can put the others on. If you're curious what this tool is, this is a round knife, or a head knife. It's actually one that I found at an antique store and completely revitalized. And broke it in the process and had to put it back together and all that fun stuff. But yeah, you know, all that fun stuff. So, got two of our pieces affixed. Tape sticking to my fingers. I don't know if I need to be talking this whole time or not. Still trying to figure the whole thing out. If anybody's watching, I'd love some comments and some questions, or really anything in the chat. You know, tips, tricks, you know, general anythings. Go ahead and put that there, so I can get this piece on here. Now what I'm doing is I'm trying to create as little waste as possible on this, because you know, this was not inexpensive leather. And with the Coronas going down, we are gonna find ourselves, makers I mean, in a bind at some point, I'm sure. Materials are going to become extremely difficult to find. And I'm trying to be as frugal as possible with the materials that I've got. Okay, one last piece to put on before we go through and affix the entire thing together. Hey, and the good news is it looks like the stream hasn't died yet, which is always a good thing, I'd say. Okay. Alright, last little piece to cut out. Okay, there we go. So now, toss this back into our leather pile. That can Don't need my tape anymore. I'm going to put away my knife for right this second. And we're going to go ahead and start punching out some holes. Alright, so I'm going to start with my 1.5 millimeter hole punch. I'm going to trim some of this tape so I have an easier time working. So if this stream runs well and doesn't die tonight, I might open it up and do another one of these tomorrow night on Facebook or, well, yeah, Facebook probably. Add Facebook into the mix, I should say. But for right now, still kind of in the testing phase. So I'd love any feedback. Anyone is in the chat or anything. Sure, it's super obvious that I'm monitoring on devices that are just slightly out of the frame. Oh, hey! What am I making? I am in the process of creating a miniature version of the Doctor's Plague Mask. And it'll look like this when it's done. Let me go to a little closer shot here. So it should look like this when it's done. Yeah, for my hamster. No, I am, this is, really just a keychain. I've got a couple of orders already for the full-size plague masks, and, I'm just playing with these, to throw in with the orders as a kind of a little freebie. And these make a good little thing to practice and continue to get better with. And thank you. Okay, that's good to know. I just built the transition earlier today, and this is really my second live stream, so I'm still trying to figure things out. I think there's a cross dissolve or something that's kind of screwing things up, but yeah, thank you for that. So right now what I'm doing is I am going through and I am punching holes for our stitching line. Not terribly complicated, just a lot of tapping. Well, cool. I'm glad to have you here. I'm glad somebody's giving my content a quick view. If you're curious of what else I do in this workshop, I do have a YouTube channel. It's got a little bit more traction. It's Weekend Builds on YouTube, and I'm actually going to use a tool here in a little bit to help me stitch that I just released a video on the other day. So yeah, just kind of hanging out in the workshop, talking, tapping on leather. Let me kind of give you a better view of what I'm working on here. So I'm just going through following my pattern, and don't know if you do any leather working. I'd highly recommend leatherpatterns.com. Tony, the guy that runs it, is constantly doing some awesome patterns. And this is one of his patterns. And it sews together beautifully and really, really comes together nice. Wow, that is actually pretty hilarious. I think I started doing leather in Boy Scouts as well, and if I remember correctly, the leather kits and whatnot, even the tools that they had, were absolutely garbage. It was a long time after scouting before I picked doing any leather backup. But it's funny, you say you're doing mostly woodwork and some metal and hack electronics. That's very much me as well. I play around with some electronics. I've got an old oscilloscope in the corner that I'm someday gonna tear apart and put new transformer or new capacitors in so it won't explode. But I don't really know what I'm doing with it. So, but then I also do a fair amount of woodworking myself. I'm fortunate that I have some family that owns a woodworking tool and supply company, so I've been able to outfit a good amount of this workshop with some slightly higher end tools that have come from there. And then I also do some rough metal work. I'm no blacksmith or machinist or anything, but I can run a lathe, I can run a mill, I can get some precision if I need to, but it's really mostly a hobby. Oh, it's nice to get into my workshop this evening. I have had a busy day. Had a massive power outage earlier that took out a computer and crashed my server and all sorts of fun stuff. You know, for what I thought yeah, I do not, I don't have any welding training at all, which is funny. I have a welder. It's a super cheap Harbor Freight welder. That's what I need. I definitely need a bigger UPS. I had a UPS on my my dedicated workstation, which, you know, right now has my Works workstation hooked up to it because everyone's working from home. So my work computer didn't die, but my personal rig kind of crapped out. The server, though, I did not have on a UPS, and fortunately, I think all that really crapped out was the power strip. But I don't think I've lost any hardware other than that. But we had some crazy storms last night, and then I guess our area was redoing some power, and I don't know what happened, but it's all back up and running now, kind of, and, you know, enough that I was able to come down and play around in the workshop tonight. So I'm just switching to a slightly larger punch here to punch out some eyes, but these are Chinese punches, so they are the utmost quality. Not really. Well, there is some good Chinese tools out there. Some. I've not found a whole lot. But I haven't looked for a whole lot either. Kinda gotta work a little bit harder with these than necessarily you would a better tool. Alright, let's go ahead and hit some of our other... It's a lot easier to punch all this stuff before you start trying to cut out the patterns, because you don't run into areas that are stretching because they're thin. There we go. Yeah, that's looking good. Alright. Alright. It's also a little odd because just getting into this streaming, and I got half of my workbench set up with computers and iPads and switchers, and uh-oh, looks like something died. Run over to my other camera here. Yeah, so I'm having this problem. Where my main camera dies after like 20 minutes, 25, 30 minutes, which I don't really understand. But I can change that pretty easily, just resetting it. Yeah, that's cool. I haven't done a whole lot with Raspberry Pis, but I played a lot with Arduinos, recently. I really have been getting into 5 and 12 volt power systems. I did a full installation of Christmas lights, permanent Christmas lights on my house, and I think it really turned out pretty nice. I ended up using 12 volt because, I used 12 volt on the house. No, I used 5 volt on the house because 5 volt has less current drop, over long spans, and I was doing a fairly long run where I was running. Let me just real quickly here get my main camera reset. Need a little bit more brain power than I can talk. Activate that. Alright, so that's back. And then I should, if I hit that, should hopefully be back on my, yeah, there we go. What was I saying? Oh, I did a Christmas light installation and, Noise Brew. Yeah, I will definitely look into that. I'll check out that guy. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, eventually, maybe, I don't know. Maybe I could get some interaction here in the shop. That'd be cool. I'm like I said, just started playing with this yesterday. Really trying to set up. Had a coworker kind of encourage me to start streaming. So maybe down the road I'll have some interactive things like that. That'd be a lot of fun. Let's see. That work. This is always the kind of sketchy part. Using the punch to cut some of these small round pieces, but seems to have worked pretty well. So there's one of our pieces done. Get another one going here. Kind of shifted our pattern over. It's not too bad to get replaced. All right. Yeah, see, that's the problem. These kind of cheap Amazon Chinese tools have a bad tendency to not be sharp at all, which, you know, probably my fault. Oh, hey, cool. Thanks for stopping by. I'm really glad that somebody stopped by and took a look and finally got to see how chat works on a live stream. So hope you're having a good evening, and yeah, keep checking back. I'll be doing more of this. All right. Yeah, so... Probably should have set this up so that I was monitoring Twitch on my computer rather than my phone. It'll tell me if there's anybody currently viewing or not. And that would let me know whether I should continue ranting or not, because clearly no one's looking at my YouTube feed, which that's not surprising. Let's see. All right. Try cutting this out with some inches. That'll give me a much, much cleaner line. Oh yeah. Way better. Clean this with X-Acto. Okay. That's kind of coming along. Okay. If anyone has joined this evening, we are in the process of making one of these little guys. This is a keychain version of the Doctor's Plague Mask, which is super topical for right now, right? No, it's just a fun little short project that you can throw together pretty quickly. So we're giving it a go. Well, I've given it a go. We're giving it another go. What we're giving it a go is streaming. That's the thing I haven't done a whole lot of. Dropping tools. Okay. Connect some of these curves with my X-Acto. I just realized my overlay totally hides the actual work surface. That's not good. That's not bad. Not bad. This thin leather is nice to cut with. And that might have just screwed that up. Fantastic. You might be cutting a new piece. Maybe. I think I'll toss that off to the side for right now. See what I get out of the others. But I'm kind of feeling like might want to cut a new one of those. Alright, so let's go ahead and try getting some of this with a punch. Not bad. Oh. Yeah, that's appropriate. One side. And other side. That doesn't help a whole lot. Just cut my pattern off. Okay. Yeah, that's not bad. I can refine, actually I can refine this edge a little bit with my punch. Got nice, I sharpened this earlier, so should cut fairly well. Alright. Alright, so let's do this one. Let's not screw this one up. This side up. Start by if anybody is sitting in chat or sitting and watching the stream, I'd love to know. If anybody is watching the stream and doesn't know how to chat, that's also a thing, I'm sure. Maybe. I don't know. I would love for you to check out my other content that I have available at YouTube. Channel is Weekend Builds on YouTube. And yeah. I do a lot more than just leather work. Got a lot of, well, not a lot yet, but trying to grow the channel. Got some good woodworking based and some metalworking based content. Okay. Let's see here. That's too shallow. Nope. Nope, can't make that happen. Right. Let's see. Got some more curved pieces here. So the key working with these punches is to keep things nice and straight, but I have a bad habit of leaning them off to one side or the other. And that's something that I gotta work on. I have a tendency to want to lean them over. I do that with more than just the punches. I do that with my knives. Then I try and overcorrect, and generally screws things up. You know, that fun stuff. Alright, so that one's nice and correctly done. Show you here. So yeah, that's a correctly cut piece, where This one, the mating side is like 90% there. I'm not thrilled with the crap going on there. And then up at this point I have a stitch hole that actually got cut. So I'm going to recut that because that's never going to work. Well, it'll work, but it's not the standard that I want to be doing. So I'll recut that when I get to that point. Alright, so I believe if I take this, that guy will cover me both of those edges, and then I can use my longest here, nice and straight, and boom. A little bit of cleanup, that'll look good. Alright. Alright. Okay. Just realized that I'm totally blocking the view with my mallet. Okay. And let's cut it there. Alright. So it's another nicely finished piece. Alright, so that is 5 of our 6 pieces. So now let's redo my mess up. Because that's the thing that actually happens to people. They screw up. Which side did I have? This one. It's this guy. Alright. Alright. Got my hide back. And find a place to put it, and grab my roll of tape. Sorry, I noticed, I understand. Oh, hey. Oh, cool. MDMS, is his vice something like this? This is a, it's called a stitching pony, and, if you actually check out my YouTube channel, Weekend Builds, I literally yesterday morning put out a video on building this stitching pony out of some solid 3/4 inch walnut. But yeah, I will definitely go pop over to his stream at some point and check out what he's got going on. Because that sounds interesting. Alright, so we'll go ahead and just cut this out. I'm going to switch to a sharper side of my knife. I think I had it there. Alright. Alrighty. So, let's try this again. Maybe I won't screw it up this time. You know, because I've only cut like 6 of these, and this is the first one I've totally screwed up. Alright. And we gotta go through and punch all of our stitching holes again. Which is real crucial. We do this before cutting anything out. That way we know all of our spacing is set correctly. Those were the holes that I screwed up on the first run through. Let's see if we can not screw that up this time. That's my stitching holes. Let's go ahead and get my eye hole cut. Alright. Yeah, it should work. Trying to go a little quicker on this one. Let's actually use my punches to do a lot of this, though, because saw what happened when I did it. Totally screwed it up. Okay. Find that just a hair. Uh-oh. Looks like my camera froze again. That is becoming a real issue with that device. So that means I need to look into a new capture device, because that's a problem. Alright, alright. let's reset my wide shot here. Which I don't understand why. I think it is my system totally dying. Very possible. So yeah, that should be looking a little bit better. Alright. Now, key is not cutting these wrong. Keep saying that. Make sure that I've got a little bit more allowance this time. My stitching holes. I think what happened is that last time my leather shifted. And that kind of screwed things over. Alright. So, let's see here. Hey, that looks a lot better. It's a lot better than our first not so great attempt. Alright, so with that, I can put away, move, I guess, shift a lot of this stuff. Put my knives away. Blown up by text messages. Alright, so with that, I'll go ahead and get my stitching pony out. I'm gonna go ahead and take my close-up camera and do a little bit of repositioning here so that you guys can actually see what's going on. Gonna be a little bit of a delay. Trying to, yeah, there we go. Alright, so let's go ahead. Let's start putting this together. Oh. Yeah, if anyone's out there in chat, let me know. Because I will then chat. A little focused on getting this going. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to start by sewing together our bottom portion. And I'm going to do that starting at the tip here. Okay, now that I got that started, go ahead and throw this into my clamp. Going to go along this with a standard saddle stitch. And it doesn't have to be super tight, so I'm kind of running through this without, doing it the right way and stitching, one stitch at a time. But it's not critical. This is going to be a keychain. Doesn't have to be, a critically tight or anything. Now, generally, I would also suggest that we would finish the edges of our leather prior to stitching, because otherwise it's going to look like crap. But since I'm not dyeing this, since it's not, it's a little freebie, not terribly concerned. I don't know if this is a good angle or not. If anybody could let me know if this is a good angle for you guys to see things or not. Ooh. A little knot going on. That's not good. Means I looped through myself at some point. Kind of a pain. Oh, this is really going wrong. And, I took a shortcut and it's kind of biting me right this second. Awesome. Biting me on every side of this. So let me get this clamped a little bit better. So it's not just flapping around. There we go. Alright. Now, need a better tool. Trying to do. I'm trying to get a knot out of my thread. Because that's just going to fight and not let my stitches sit very well. Get this loosened up. Now, try and... What happened is I was going quickly and didn't realize that I had looped back through myself. Classic, tied myself up. And it's going to be a real frustrating knot to undo. So I'm using a hand stitching thread that is waxed, but looks like I got it. The wax thread kind of does a good job of sticking to itself, so when you pull a stitch together. Kind of keeps itself tight without wanting to loosen back up. Now, it is a nylon thread. Right. Okay, so run this through. End. That. Don't like that. Don't want to go through my thread. Creates weak spots in my thread. Oh. Alright, so cut my thread off. And I've got little tail ends here. I'm gonna go ahead and burn those nice and flat. It's nylon thread, so it melts and kind of seals itself. Alright, so I don't have enough thread here to get my next stitch done. Well, I probably do, but I live in perpetual fear that I am going to run out of thread in the middle of a stitch, and as you can see, I'm nearly out of thread on this spool. Which, when I bought this spool, I said I'm never going to use that much thread. Little did I know. I mean, it did take me a couple of years, but, you know, it is what it is, right? Now, if I run out, I've got 2 more spools that are actually twice the size of that one. So, thousands of feet of nice industrial thread. So, if anyone's joining in right now, wondering what we're making, we're working on stitching up a little keychain-sized doctor's plague mask. As we are getting our, you know, 14th century on. Let's go ahead and start our other side. Now, this is where it gets a little bit more complicated because we are stitching kind of in this weird spot where we're going to use our stitch to kind of start to form everything. So I'm not clamping it quite yet until I get everything started. Just to kind of establish our shape. Alright, so there we go. With our shape established, we will start working our way up. Got a couple of holes here, getting stitched. What am I making? I am making a little miniature doctor's plague mask. Just playing around doing some hand sewing. It's a little keychain size. So we're having some fun here in the workshop. How are you doing this evening? Ah, yes. So, cool thing is, let me switch to my other camera here. I am working with my, um, solid leather, or solid, walnut, stitching pony. This is it's all 3/4 inch walnut that I had from the floor that I put into my house that is all solid walnut. I had a bunch left over, and just last weekend, I actually built this stitching pony. And if you're curious on that build, on my YouTube channel, I have a video of the whole build. But yeah, I basically planed the whole thing down with a hand plane, got it nice and smooth, because the lumber yard left some some kind of nasty side. Well, it's all for expansion and contraction in the floor, but wasn't the most pretty looking. But got it all smoothed out, and then did some interesting glue ups and some cutting. And actually, sorry about this. Well, I was going through the stack of wood that I have left over. I found this board in the stack, and I don't know if you can see the grain on this. It is absolutely gorgeous. I think at some point this is going to get turned into like the lid of a box or something, because it is just too pretty for just general purpose, shop furniture builds like this. So yeah, I've been been looking at that, trying to figure out exactly what I'm gonna do with it. It is quite a pretty piece of wood, but I put in about 600 square feet of walnut flooring for my kitchen and my dining room, and I had a little left over. Yeah, so it's funny. You're not the first person that I have talked with, especially in putting this project together, that has said that walnut actually messes with their sinuses. That's kind of crazy to me, because it doesn't affect me, but right now I am totally stopped up with allergies, so I can't smell most anything. So I don't know. I don't know, when I'm really doing any sanding or anything. I've got my wear an RZ mask with a 0.1 micron filter most of the time, and then I've also got my my big dust collector over there that does a pretty good job of filtering out a lot of the stuff. But yeah, I think walnut is absolutely one of my favorite woods to work with. I just love the way... I love the end result that I get out of it. I used a 8/4 slab as my desk in my office, and oh man, it just... You don't have to do anything to that wood. It just ends up looking gorgeous on its own. Love to know what your favorite way of finishing walnut is, because I'm still playing around with the best ways to finish it. This thing's got a combination of finishes, just because of the nature of trying to shoot a video with it. But I've been really digging General Finish's their armor seal right now. It's kind of up there on my list of favorite. All right. So now we're moving on to the kind of the nose bridge. This is a interesting stitch. Let me get close here. This is an interesting stitch where you actually, I don't know if you can see this, you're gonna bring the needle over and come down and across. Gives you this nice pronounced loop. And internally it gives you this like kind of zigzaggy X pattern. It advances it along nicely. But it's kind of it's a difficult stitch to kind of figure out. It took me a long while to wrap my head around it. I did not actually originate this pattern. Like Maloof oil. Okay, cool. Yeah, I have not tried Maloof oil poly. I will have to look into that, because I'm always looking for, you know, a good finish. This has got one, because I was trying to finish it up for a video. It's got one coat of armor seal on it, and then the knob that I did has just a quick coat of shellac. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. If it's good, easy polish, or a good, easy finish, something that's nice and durable or whatnot, I will definitely look into that. I'm always looking for. I think everyone's always looking for good ways to finish things, because finishing is hard. I think for me it's the hardest part, because I'm not the most patient in the world. I struggle with trying to let things dry. Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter how, you know, if you think you're stupid or whatnot, you're not stupid. It's just, finishing can be hard, because I'm not a chemist, and I'm sure most woodworkers aren't chemists. So, knowing how to, you know, there's so many variables, and, you know, knowing what wood is oily and what wood isn't, and how, you know, how it's going to take us a certain chemical. A lot of work. So, you know. Alright. So this is coming along pretty well. I'm pretty pleased in the way this is actually stitching up. I do a fair amount of woodworking. I'm extremely blessed that I actually, my parents are longtime franchise owners of a woodcraft franchise. So I grew up in their home with a workshop and a father who was actually extremely willing to teach me. I did not, unfortunately, I did not take as much advantage of it as I probably should have. but he is still very close by, so I've been able to still pick his brain quite often. I'm more of a general purpose maker than a woodworker or leather worker or metal worker or whatnot, because I enjoy kind of the disciplines, all of the disciplines really. You know, I don't know. I'm more of a collector of skills than anything. But I've been getting a lot more into woodworking since I built this shop. I bought a house that took about 2 years to completely renovate. And I'm single, so it works. You know, it would not work for most people, I'm sure. But I bought this house and turned the basement into a full shop. And I plan on turning the garage into a metal shop, just to kind of separate my woodworking and my metalworking, you know, just for safety's sake. But yeah, I found that once I was done with the construction side of things, because you know, the fine woodworking and construction are fair bit different. I kind of really enjoyed the fine woodworking side, and I've been doing a lot of playing around with different things. Trying to think, I just finished up a full kind of bar build. It was the first real furniture that I'd done, and I think it turned out pretty good. It's cherry. You know, I'm sure people would argue because it's all pocket holed together. I'm not. It's one of those things I still haven't sat down and listened to my father instruct me on how to hand cut dovetails. That's one of his kind of specialty areas. He teaches classes on it fairly often, but I've been too not stubborn, but just I've gotten busy and haven't taken the time to go and learn that. But yeah, having fun. I do a lot of different things, but I don't know. I'm really getting back into woodworking, or getting into woodworking, I should say. Yeah, I don't know if I explained this stitching pony. I've got a video on YouTube that I just put out that shows the full build of it. Alright. Getting ready to start attaching our eyepieces. This is going together real well tonight. Once you discount the mess-ups that I made. And I'm sorry if all you can see is kind of the back of my hand right now. Trust me, this is much better than my last stream where you couldn't see anything because I only had one camera feed. And now I've got more than one. I live in Ohio. I am just outside of Cincinnati. So if you're ever up in the Ohio area, you should check out the Woodcraft in Dayton. That's where my parents are at, and they got a lot to offer there. A lot in classes and expertise. They've got a staff of about 18 guys that are all retirees that are lifetime woodworkers. So a lot of good information there. All right. Let's see here. All right, I'm getting ahead of myself. I didn't realize. Been to Cleveland and Chillicothe. Yeah. Chillicothe is. I think where I'm at is like, I don't know, an hour and a half away, maybe. That's cool. Not bad areas. I have a coworker that's from Chillicothe. Yeah. Cleveland does have the Hall of Fame. I have not spent a whole lot of time up in Cleveland, but yeah, it's fun. I like Ohio. Ohio's been good to me. Was born here, and then went to Indiana for school, and then decided, you know what, it's not terrible here. I'll come back. And now I'm quarantined in my house, like everybody is. It's all good. Ah, yes. Yes, any time you go past a paper plant, you know right away. Yeah. Alright, so we're getting close on this. Alright, we've got... We are getting real close on this. We've got one eye done. I'm going to flip this around just so you guys get a little bit better view. Oh, so how you're in LA? Yeah, I understand. Tired of quarantine. So yeah, oh man, LA. I haven't been out to LA in a couple of years. I was supposed to be in San Francisco for a conference back about a month ago, but you know how that all goes. Nothing's going on there. But yeah, haven't spent a whole lot of time in LA. Been through LAX plenty of times. But I work in the video industry, so you'd think I'd be out in LA more than I am, but you guys are oh yeah, I bet Seattle's kind of totally. I'm sure everybody is still kind of hiding. I know you guys were Seattle was the first ones to get hit with all this nastiness. I've got some contacts over there. Yeah, I mean, started in your one or two people, and then boom, and yeah, it's an intense time. It's scary at times. At least the news is trying to make it that way. which, you know, take it for what it is. It's news. Went to the grocery earlier today. You know, still can't get toilet paper. I'm sure you can't either. I'm sure no one can. Which is just absolutely ridiculous to me. Right. Getting pretty close on this. I think after I made 3 or 4 of these, I'm starting to actually get better at it. Come on. It's the hardest part to stitch. I'm going through 3 different pieces that don't want to line up. And this is kind of flopping around a little bit. But we're almost there. Home stretch. About 5 or 6 more stitches to do. Coming in hot here. Okay. And come on, there we are. Alright. Last stitch. Go in here. Come on there. Yeah, I fully understand. You're seeing a very curated angle of my my workshop, because it is an absolute mess. But I mean, what workshop isn't? I think you know, if we're all having a good time, being productive, or you know, it's a good distraction for people. Alright. We are getting there. A little bit of a shape. And there we go. There is our doctor's mask. So this has been a fun little project. Clamp it right there, and jump back over to here. Hopefully that's all still running. I don't know. I see here in a second. Oh, no, looks like my main camera has died again. So let's go back to my close-up. Fantastic. So that tells me there's an issue with that camera. So we're going to keep on my close-up camera. Yeah. So the fun part about this is, I was explaining earlier, this is the second time I've ever streamed. I have the advantage of being in the video industry, so I have a little bit more of the gear and the knowledge of how all that works, but apparently my video stream system doesn't like what I'm doing with it. My capture device keeps kind of freezing up on me. I don't know if it's overheating or if I'm working it too hard or if I've got interference or what. But oh yeah, I'm very much I'm very much trying to figure out how to work on a project and talk with people and, you know, watch my chat, watch my feeds, watch everything, make sure everything's going on, and, you know, not mess up the project. So yeah, what we did here is we've made a kind of a keychain version of the old plague mask. I felt that it's an appropriate oh yeah, hey, you are giving me content, which is fantastic. It is. I did this last night for the first time and literally had no comments in chat, and it was extremely difficult to talk to people, or just to keep talking, like, you know, hey, I'm presenting and there's no one here and nothing going on, and, you know, very interesting. But so yeah, yeah, we just finished up the plague mask, and if you're curious, I do have a larger version. I don't have any video on that. This was just something I played with. Let's find the right place for it. Yeah, I played with it a couple of weekends ago. Yeah. So, oh, I think I've been streaming now almost an hour and a half. Make violins. Okay, so you're a full-on luthier. That's awesome. I have a ton of respect for you, because stringed instruments are phenomenally difficult pieces to get right. Wow. Yeah, I can't imagine trying to do a stream and build a violin. Wow. I mean, I can barely play stringed instruments, but I've got a good idea. I mean, you're working with thin stock material and trying to make sure everything's still, you know, got nice resonance and all that. Wow, that's really that's a skill right there. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Alright, well, I think since I've got my little mask finished up, that'll go out in probably go out in the mail here. I think with that I might have to call it for the night. I've been streaming about an hour and a half, and oh, I gotta do some computer work and maintenance to figure out why my stream box keeps crapping out on me, and yeah, so I'm gonna call it for tonight, and probably be back tomorrow night. Because I'm trying to make some, well, at least get some more content for my YouTube channel and get things going, and yeah. So, thanks so much for coming into chat, and take it easy.